Hello and welcome to Spartan Life Radio. I'm your host, Cheryl Wilkerson. Thanks for joining me on a Sunday afternoon. I appreciate that. We come by every Sunday afternoon bringing you people and topics of interest, especially here around Hampton Roads. So right now we welcome to the show. Her name is Vonnie Thomas. Vonnie Thomas. Vonnie Thomas is the owner of a child daycare, and that's called Unique Little Hands. And she's doing something great within the community, within the whole entire system of daycares in Hampton Roads. So welcome to Spartan Life Radio, Vonnie.
Thank you for having me.
Not a problem at all. So first and foremost, tell us, where are you from, Vonnie?
I'm originally from Roanoke, Virginia. But I've been living
really?
here long enough to call myself a Hampton Roads person now. I've been here over 20 years.
20 years, yes, that will do it. And so growing up, you always knew you were going to be an entrepreneur?
I always had an entrepreneur spirit, but didn't really know what I wanted to do.
Okay. All right. So how did the daycare come upon you?
So I have a severely handicapped daughter. Her name is Zakia. She's 30 years old. She has cerebral palsy, is in a wheelchair, and is basically total care. And it was very difficult when she was little for me to find child care facilities who would take her. And so that inspired me to want to open a child care facility that met all children's needs, no matter if they were handicapped, had behavioral problems, or what their background was.
Vonnie, I never thought about this until you exposed me to this. I never, ever thought about it. And so you've had the daycare, and now you are on a new mission. Can you explain in detail what that new mission is?
So I've created a 5013C, and me and the board members, we are determined to get behavioral specialists, ABA therapists, those type of folks with those type of specialties to work with children, because we want to break the preschool to prison pipeline. I don't know if you know this, but oftentimes kids that are kicked out of preschool, they end up being incarcerated. They end up being kicked out of regular school. It starts early. And so we want to hire behavioral specialists and people that can help meet the needs of those children so that they can thrive, not only in preschool, but going forward.
And so you need people, but you also need equipment. Is that correct?
Yes, equipment, sensory equipment, and toys, catering to people with special needs is very expensive. Very expensive. And we would like to help other facilities who might have the heart to take care of children but might be intimidated by it. We want to be consultants for them and create pathways for other business owners such as myself who would like to help those children.
Can you give us an example of there's somebody out there that has a child that has some special needs, and they want to take them to daycare, and the situation might be that they can't come because of this piece of equipment, or they can't come because they don't have this kind of teacher with this training. Can you break it down so we all can envision what you're talking about?
Well, oftentimes what that looks like is a lot of daycares, believe it or not, they have rules like 3 strikes you out, even with normal behavior, Cheryl, like biting. There are many daycare programs that say if a child bites another child 3 times, they're out. They're put out. A lot of times you have teachers, you might have 8 2-year-olds or 10 3-year-olds, and that child, that 3-year-old that's having difficulty, that 3-year-old that has autism, that 3-year-old that's having behavioral issues. Business owners such as myself might have to choose between keeping the teacher, because the teacher's ready to go because she doesn't know what to do, or keeping the child. And that's a very difficult decision to make, especially in the middle of a pandemic where we know there's staff shortages in all businesses. And so we want to create an environment and create a room and have counselors, just like the school system have, that help children. And they could have a special room they go to so they could calm down. They have specialists working with them, and then they integrate them back into the classroom. We don't have to call mom and dad and tell them to come pick them up. We don't have to give a 2-week notice and put them out. We want to think out of the box and figure out how can we help those children be successful in our setting. And we need resources. We need people. We need equipment, as you said. We need those things so that we can help those kids to have everything they need so they're not kicked out of daycare. They're not rejected at 2 and 3 years old.
And what would be, if there was a magic wand, Vonnie, if there was a magic wand and people said, Vonnie Thomas, you can have everything you want in every daycare that you needed, what would that look like? What would that be? What would you want? What would it look like, and what would the cost be?
We would have people who are probably going to make on average anywhere from 40 to 60 grand a year. They would be on site. They would be working with those children on site to help them adapt. They would be training teachers, and they would provide resources for those teachers and the children and their families. We would come together. I don't know if you're familiar with an IEP meeting, but an IEP meeting is where you bring in a team of professionals and you develop a plan to educate people in the school system who may not have a normal pathway. And so I would like those same options to be available at the preschool level, where you have a team of professionals, whether it's a physical therapist, an occupational therapist, a behavioral specialist. We all sit down and we say, what does this child need, and what are we willing to do to help this child be successful starting now?
And since we don't have that now, what do these parents do with their children?
I have spoken to so many parents who end up leaving their jobs. They end up having children at a substandard place, maybe a place that's not even licensed. Just a lady down the street, right? And someone to just babysit them, and it might be less of a cost, but it's not the quality care that child needs. And on top of that, if the child doesn't receive the therapeutic regimens they need, then they're just left behind. Even when they enter the school system, they're tossed into a separate program, and you can have someone, the earlier the intervention, the better off they are. Mm-hmm. And so you have people starting school and they're not ready, and the behavioral problems continue. And sometimes if we would have gotten a handle on those things earlier, then the child would be in a much better space by the time they start kindergarten.
That makes complete sense. I know that you have some events lined up because you're out here, Vonnie. You are actively trying to raise some money that 1 by 1 or 10 by 10, you're trying to make some changes in these daycares in Hampton Roads. And I think it's admirable because you're not just looking out for your daycare center.
No. That wouldn't help enough kids, right? It wouldn't be worthwhile if it only affected my daycare. And so on June 4th, we're having a live and silent auction, and I'm hoping to raise funds and awareness and create partners in the community who are willing to come with me on this journey to make all children have quality child care in the 757. All children, regardless of their individual abilities. We want them to have quality child care in the Hampton Roads area.
And once again, so this is going to be June the 4th. There might be somebody listening right now, and they're like, oh, you know what, Vonnie, that sounds good, June the 4th, but I need to do something now. What can I do now? Or there might be some churches that are listening, and they're like, I want to get involved. I want you to tell people how they can reach out.
They can reach out to me via email at uniquelycreatedalliance@gmail.com. uniquelycreatedalliance@gmail.com. They can shoot me an email. We'll contact them, either myself or the vice president of the organization, Stephanie Brunell, and we would love to tell them how they could help us in our mission.
It is my goal that everybody would just blow up your email, that you couldn't even get to all of them. But if this goes, Vonnie, that you're just going to have to do it 1 by 1 by 1 by 1, how will you decide how to start the staffing? So if you get in one piece of equipment and then the next week you get in another, do you start with your facility? I couldn't begin to think about how to start doing this.
Well, I'm in constant communication with a group of several women who all are child care providers in the 757.
Okay.
And we partner with any kind of issues and try to help each other. So I already have a network of
Excellent.
people. And so that's already in the works.
And I know when I was talking to you earlier, you were telling me about one piece of equipment. I don't know if you said it was your daughter needed, but paint the picture for the listeners listening about how expensive this can really be.
So even if a child needs a prone stander to help their leg muscles, for example, that can cost anywhere from $1,500 on up above $4,000.
To help their, say that again, to help their...
To help build their leg strength so they can walk.
And it will be from
stander.
$1,500 to $4,000?
Yes.
Oh, my word. And so all of the equipment, I'm guessing, is a bit expensive.
It is. My daughter's wheelchair, it's not even motorized, and it was over $5,000.
Does insurance come into play when parents are looking for these specialized tools, equipment to help them with their children?
When it comes to wheelchairs and things like that, yes. But the school system use state funds, and oftentimes school systems, they have that equipment. But child care providers are private entities, and we do not have those. We do not have the money. Unless a private owner take their money or figure out how to work it in the budget, we don't have those kinds of things for handicapped children.
And when it comes to private daycare centers, Vonnie, I'm wondering, do you have any lobbyists on Capitol Hill? Are you going to Richmond during the General Assembly to tell these lawmakers, look, this is what our children need because all of our children deserve to have the best? This isn't right.
I think that things will move in that direction because I don't know if you know this, but recently licensing was changed from the Virginia Department of Social Services to the Virginia Department of Education. So now all licensed child care facilities are under the Department of Education. And we're hoping, myself and my acquaintances are hoping that that will mean that we will have the resources that the school systems have.
Yeah, most
But right
definitely.
now, that's not the case.
And I'm telling you, you have opened my eyes because I never, ever thought about this before. And I'm like, you are exactly right. And then I start thinking about the other extreme. I go from the children to the elders. I'm thinking about the elders that are in senior daycare. It's probably the same thing with them needing equipment that private daycares probably can't just go out and buy, but they should be covered, in my humble opinion.
I agree.
So I am speaking to Vonnie Thomas. She is the owner of Unique Little Hands. That is a daycare center, but I'm telling you all, she is on a mission. And when I talk to her, whenever I talk to her, I know that she is going to get this thing done. She is on a mission. Tell us again about the Uniquely Created Alliance and what it's going to do.
Uniquely Created Alliance is going to provide free consultation and training to all facilities. We're going to start conducting what's equivalent to an IEP meeting to help children before they get kicked out of any child care facility in the 757. We want people to call us. We want to come together. We believe it takes a village, and the village has to start now by creating awareness in the community to help children, regardless of their behaviors, to continue in quality child care facilities.
And you have some events coming up where people can support you.
That's June 4th at Camp Arrowhead. If you hit us up at uniquelycreatedalliance@gmail.com, we'll tell you how to get tickets to support that function. And if you're willing to volunteer, we'll offer. We would love to have the help.
Vonnie, you are doing some great stuff in this Hampton Roads community. And like I said, I can see you mixing things up, and I can see some lawmakers having the answer to you and the people that are standing with you, because I don't think you're the type that will just say no. I'm not getting that from you.
But I am not, and it takes a village. And anybody out there listening, please hit us up. We need the help. The kids deserve the help. And we're looking forward to this.
This is some good news. Please keep on doing what you're doing. And, don't let anything deter you. Don't let anything stop you. And we'll be checking in to see how things are going, okay?
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I hope to be on here again with some good news about how successful our silent and live auction was on June 4th.
Thank you so much. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Vonnie Thomas, if you want to get in contact with her, uniquelycreatedalliance@gmail.com. I just tell you, I just never thought about these things that are going on. You're just in your own little bubble, in your own little world. You just don't think of these things. But I'm so glad she has brought that to our attention, and we'll keep track of what's going on with that. Coming up next, not a problem. Coming up next, we have people in Hampton Roads that are doing some good stuff. I promise you that. Don't you go anywhere. More of Spartan Life Radio is coming up. Welcome back to Spartan Life Radio. I'm your host, Cheryl Wilkerson. I do appreciate you all staying with me on a Sunday afternoon. You don't have to do it, but I appreciate the fact that you do. My next guest is Mr. J.R. Locke. J.R. Locke, he's with EdLogics Healthier 757. He is the Vice President of Community Development. Welcome to the program.
Well, thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate you having me today. It's been a long time since you and I had the opportunity to talk about community issues.
Yes, community issues. And we have Dr. Vanessa Jenkins on the line as well. I'm going to let you introduce her.
Well, Dr. Jenkins and I have had the opportunity to engage with one another with Healthier 757. And so I will turn it over to her so that she can tell the audience a little bit about who she is and what she does.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Vanessa Jenkins. I serve as the Executive Director of Health and Wellness here at this wonderful campus of Norfolk State University. So I'm so excited to connect, that we're connecting in the community with Mr. Locke on this wonderful project that's going to really help benefit our students and campus-wide.
All right. So we're going to talk about raising awareness of how rewards for healthy living can actually help Hampton Roads residents learn how to prevent and manage for their health conditions. This is something that is very near and dear to me. People think I'm strange or whatever, but because I eat strangely, but I just want people to be healthy. So tell us more about this program.
Well, I'll start with that. Healthier 757 is a project that was started by my company, EdLogics, and it started with the idea that we actually offer a digital platform to commercial markets for employers who want to really help their employees become healthier. And we've had the opportunity to place employers on our platform, such as Town Bank and the Port of Virginia and other companies around the country. However, our CEO, a guy by the name of Chamberlain, he had the idea that he wanted to take this one step further. He wanted to offer this platform to our community because he's a pharmacist by trade, and with his experience in working with different communities, he felt like there was a strong need for people to really learn more about their health in fun and engaging ways. And I mean, you know yourself, Cheryl, that there are a lot of programs out there that talk about how to become healthier, how to exercise and this or that. But there's a lot of information that people have to read in order to get that information. And unfortunately, a lot of people either choose not to read or they feel like they don't have time to read. So bottom line is they don't get the information that they need to become healthier. And with this program, what has been successful is that we have combined learning with fun and engagement through our digital platform, where people can go online, play a variety of games, learn about their health, and what gets people excited is the opportunity to win cash prizes and other prizes, such as weekend hotel stays at some really nice hotels in the area, just by participating on the program that we call Rewards for Healthy Living.
Are you telling me, and Dr. Vanessa, you can weigh in on this as well, are you telling me that people actually do want to be healthier?
People want to become healthier. And Dr. Jenkins, you might want to elaborate on that yourself.
Yeah, I think what it is, Cheryl, is that I think that they want to know how to become healthy. It's just that I think it's the process or the avenue to take to do that. One may say, yes, it's in a book, it's in a magazine or something like that. But I think this creative way, I think people are really hungry for wanting to know how. It's usually when something has happened, that's when I want to know how. When I've had the, diabetes, I've eaten too much, or when I'm overweight, or when I'm having the heart problem. But I think that they're hungry to know, but it's just what happens is that we don't really get out there to talk about it until it's at the end and there's really some things going on. And I think they really want to know. It's just that the only time we talk about it is when something has happened. We never talk about it when it's, they're going through, we go through this whole process of getting sick, and no one wants to talk about, until at the end. So shifting that mindset, I think people really want to know what they need to do to be healthy. You hear it more and more now. More people are talking about healthy. I think it was all because of COVID. COVID had happened, and people are finding out different things that are going on within us that we need to know. And I really believe people really want to know much sooner than later. It is amusing to me because my friends or whatever, they know I eat kind of crazy. So I'll say, come on, let's go to the vegan restaurant. And they'll just look at me like, I ain't doing that. But recently I got 2 to go with me, and they did the little samples or whatever. And they were like, okay, out of maybe 7 samples, like one was, that was good. And the other was like, well, that's okay. But it's so many foods out here in the world that we haven't eaten, but people, they don't really open their minds to give it a try, or there's so many different ways that you can exercise. I always think for people, they've got to find what they like to do. It might be Pilates. It might be just taking a good walk. It might be dancing. You've got to find what it is for you that does it. And then I think you'll stick to it. That is absolutely correct. I think we're busy trying to live someone else's health and wellness and not our own, because each one of us are different. And I think what you said is absolutely correct, Cheryl. If we just do something different just one time, and just take this one piece at a time. You don't have to bite off the whole thing at one time. You didn't gain weight overnight,
Right.
We didn't have all they didn't come overnight. So if we just take one piece at a time, and we just got to change our mind. And it's interesting. I'm going to say this real quick. It's interesting, though, we go to the doctor, and he tells us we have to do this or you're going to die. Then we decide we're going to do it. We shouldn't have to wait for the death call or the threat of death. Right. It's like we can change this one day at a time. If you're used to drinking sodas every day, 7 days a week, then let's see if you can get down to 6. Before you know it, you won't be drinking any. So just take it one piece at a time. But Dr. Vanessa, you know what they always say? Oh, well, I'm going to die of something anyway. And that just blows my mind, because we're supposed to have wisdom that we're not trying to hurry the process up, I didn't think. Well, I think they say that as a reason or excuse to continue on. And if that's, some people will say, we got to die from something. But ask them, are you ready to go today? Oh, no, not right now. So you're really not willing to die from something, So sometimes you challenge them on what they say. Okay, so you can go right now. Well, no, I'm not saying that. So it's just, we have to really challenge people on what they really say. And I think, from one person to another, I think we really need to have some serious conversation. And thank you for taking your friends out to give them that try. I'm not a vegan, but I'm almost there, but I'm not trying to be a vegan. I'm just eating healthy. So that's what it is. Hot dog, all those great things. But you can just do tasting. I think that's a good idea. Maybe that's what I'll do. Just this morning I was doing a story, and I was reading a story on what is the term gene-modified beef and how it's coming to a household near you, probably in the next 2 years. And even if you go to the grocery store, it will not be labeled that way. And oftentimes, I really think, when I look at pictures of society today and I look at pictures of society like in the 70s, I just think if you go back,
I think about enslaved people and what they had to eat. And I think to myself, enslaved people probably ate better than most people today, because at least what they were eating, the scraps or whatever, they didn't have hormones, they didn't have antibiotics, they didn't have all that stuff in them. It was more natural than it is today, and that's crazy to me.
Yeah. I think it's just what they're speeding up the processing of food. There's more people that need to eat, so they may take, I don't know if all this, they may take a hot dog down and they may add stuff to it. Or look at the strawberries. I mean, they're adding so many things to it because I think they're trying to get so much out. But I think I hear more people being cautious about it, real cautious about that issue. And that's why I know and I feel that people are really hungry to know. They just don't know how. I just think with this platform, it's really going to open up their mind, and it's a fun way of learning. And it's, something that I think you can really get engaged in.
Well, I'm excited about the upcoming months, because that's when I usually do the farmer's market or whatever, because I can go and the apple isn't as big as my head, because to me, that's not normal. Why are these apples so big, and things like that. I guess, we're busy. We're trying to make a living. You can weigh in on this, JR. We're trying to do things to help people or whatever. And we just don't think about some things. But if you go in the produce section or whatever, things are so large now, and that doesn't necessarily mean better.
Right.
And very true.
I mean, yeah, because even here on campus, I am really excited about how our food services now, they offer the vegan options now for our students. And they, they even have a tasting on certain days. And it seems to be really working. The students are embracing it. Some I've heard say, I'm going to try it. Ooh, it looks nasty. Oh, it's not that bad. So even on Soul Food Thursday, I used to rip and rave about that, and we should have a Wellness Wednesday, but they've taken the soul food and actually, they've taken the tofu and they deep fry. I mean, it's good. So I'm really excited to see that just across campus that we're shifting this, one piece at a time. And I think before you know it, the campus will be a healthy campus.
I am speaking to Dr. Vanessa Jenkins. She's with our Health and Wellness here at Norfolk State University, as well as J.R. Locke with EdLogics, Healthier 757, and talking to the community about just being healthier and some things that we can do. So, J.R., this all came to you in a dream, this whole program. Is this how this got started?
Well, I could plagiarize my boss, but he probably wouldn't like that, so I can't take credit for it. Tom Chamberlain is our president and CEO of EdLogics, which is headquartered in Virginia Beach. And it was really his vision to provide this platform to help people become more engaged in their health. Because the problem is so enormous. When you talk about low health literacy, it actually impacts 90 million Americans. And it's costing the U.S. economy, Cheryl, as much as $238 billion a year. And that's because people just don't understand how to become healthier. They're not reading up on the information, and they're not participating in the activity that's requiring them to become healthier. Okay. And our objective is that we want to make Hampton Roads the most health-literate region in the nation. And in doing so, we can improve the health and economic prosperity of our region. And at the end of the day, Rewards for Healthy Living is educating individuals on common and costly and complicated health conditions in a fun and engaging way, because them participating on the games and they're earning rewards along the way. Each month, we actually give away $500 to the person that wins the lottery on our platform. And at the end of the year, for people who play continuously, we give away a $5,000 cash prize December 31st for that individual who was lucky enough to win the lottery. And the way that you win the lottery is based upon your participation on the platform. Because each time you participate in one of the games, you win a lottery ticket. So it doesn't mean that if you have the most lottery tickets, you're guaranteed to win, but it does enhance your chances versus somebody that only had one ticket. But that one ticket could win that particular prize. And so the platform is designed for individuals to come on, and you can come on by simply registering on our platform. It's accessible across a multi-variety of devices, such as your desktop, your laptop, your iPad, your cell phone, and you can play the games anywhere there's an internet connection. So people don't have any reason to not want to come on and learn how to participate, learn about their health, becoming much more health literate, and earn cash prizes at the same time.
And what do you hear from the people that are participating currently in the program? What do they say outside of winning the prizes or whatever? What do they say about their health or what they're learning?
Well, that's a great question, because we conducted a focus group with the city of Norfolk and a nonprofit that they're consulting with and coordinating the St. Paul's Corridor Project, because we want to offer our platform to a variety of communities, and particularly underserved communities. And one of the questions that came up is, well, is your platform really appropriate for people across all of Hampton Roads to participate and understand? Mm-hmm. And so we conducted these focus groups, which would comprise of people that work for the city of Norfolk, and some of those employees had been some of the residents from your public housing authorities. And when they participated in the group and participated in the games, they were just so excited, because they felt like, this is easy to come on and register. I can win cash money. I can learn about my health. And we have so many different topics on the platform. We have over 80 different modules, which comprises hundreds and hundreds of different topics, such as heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, cancer, your lung-related diseases. We were just discussing this morning that one of the most popular topics in the month of February was the safety shooter module, where people wanted to learn, so what do I do if there's an active shooter in my workplace? Mm-hmm. What are the precautions I need to take in order to be safe? That was one of the most popular modules in the month of February. Wow. And so these modules have some very vital information that people really do get excited about coming on and learning about their health.
I saw some of the information that you put out, and one thing that caught my eye was caregiving. And I don't think people realize how daunting caregiving can be, and sometimes what a thankless job it can be, and what a toll it takes on you. Would either of you like to address that?
Well, I'll give it a shot, because I've recently had that experience. I had my mother-in-law was staying with my wife and I for about a year and a half last year. Mm-hmm. And she's 94 years old.
Oh, the queen.
Still good, sound mind. And initially when we brought her into our home, we said, we're never going to put her in a nursing home.
Right. That's what,
we're going to always take care of her.
Yes.
And that's what my wife wanted to do. But it got to the point that her needs were so great at 93 years old that it would have been inappropriate for us to continue trying to take care of her in our home. I mean, basically her medical needs were constant, 24/7, that she needed attention. And we actually went through about 15 to 16 different nursing assistants from various companies that were assisting us in taking care of her. I mean, that was a toll in itself. I mean, had we not had those assistants, it would have just been impossible, really, for us to do so, particularly because both of us are still working. And so you're right. Unless you have to go through it, you just really can't imagine just how much toll that it takes on an individual who's serving as a caregiver. And one of the things that people constantly, told my wife and I is that you have to make sure that you guys are aware to take care of yourself.
Correct.
While you're taking care of your mother-in-law.
Yeah. I had a friend of mine, and he told me he would just call me up out of the blue. Cheryl, you're taking care of yourself, because he said he watched his mother take care of her mother. And he said in doing so, that actually is what killed his mother. That's what he told me. So that's a hard job right there. And then, when you've had in your head your whole life that I'm not going to put them in any kind of home, we're always going to take care of them. And then when you realize, oh, I really can't do this. Sometimes there's guilt involved. Sometimes there's so much uncertainty involved. It's so many emotions that one goes through.
Yeah, low health literacy is a real problem for most people in America. So we're really trying to reach the entire region, because when we launched this initiative back in 2020 at Old Dominion University, we had one of our speakers who came in, and he was a former Health and Human Services Secretary for the United States, and governor, and he was also former governor of Wisconsin. His name is Thompson. And when Governor Thompson was here, he indicated that our platform was so innovative that we could actually transform Hampton roads, and that he felt like by offering this to the community, we can put Hampton roads on the map for being a leader in healthcare. And one of the things that we are really excited about, and I know Dr. Jenkins is very excited about it, is that Norfolk State is launching the implementation of the platform. And by doing so, Norfolk State becomes the first university in the region to implement the platform. But not only that, they also become the first historically black college in the nation that is launching the platform to make sure that their students, faculty, and staff are health literate. So we're really excited to be working with them on that.
Yeah, we're real excited about it. And the way we're going to do it, Cheryl, we're going to do a soft launch. So we're going to train student leaders. And then in the fall, we'll have a big launch. So we'll probably contact you. And we just want everyone to know that Norfolk State is striving towards being a healthy campus. That is my goal in this role, to make sure that we take care of ourselves, that we're not going to wait till at the end. And I know it's a slow process, but I know it can be done. And through this platform, I think it's going to be able to assist us to get to that health literacy that we're looking for.
That goes along with their culture of care. I know that Norfolk State University, I know we were one of the campuses across the Commonwealth that had the lowest instances of the virus on campus because we were so good with it. We really were.
Exactly. And it took time. I mean, everything takes time. And I think we're slowly shifting, and I think, like I keep saying about this platform, and as we begin to, it's in our language, it's when we speak to each other. We just had Check on a Spartan Day the other day, where you just check on someone, see how you're doing. And if we continue to embrace that, I think that we're really on the road. I know we're on the way to a healthy campus. And then outside of the campus, we all have lives. We live outside, and then we'll be carrying it out into the community. And before you know, we'll have a healthier 757.
And, I was thinking about that while you were saying that, Dr. Vanessa Jenkins, that's something that historically with HBCUs, we've always checked on each other. So this is taking that to another level. I'll never forget Lisa Godley being on this very program, and she was telling me about when she went to Northwestern to get her master's program, and she's like, it's a whole different ball game. It's like you're on campus and does anybody even know you're there, you know? But these HBCUs, the love, it's something different. And, you know, recently, I'm sure you saw the story of the two Norfolk State former roommates, and one donated, I think it was a kidney to the other.
Yes.
It's what we do.
Yeah.
So
I think all those old things or those old traditions, we thought they were buried and gone away. We're finding that they did work, and I think we just continue to, implement them back into the community again for our younger people who may not have been around them, but to see these traditions that continue to go on. And that's one of the culture for us, is that we continue to show we care for each other. We reach out to one another, give resources when we know they need them. So, by using this platform and just knowing resources, that's one of the largest components, I think, is when you have resources to give to someone at the same time when you're listening to whatever may be happening with them.
It makes sense. JR, who are you working with? What local nonprofits are you working with?
Well, that's a great question, and I guess I'll start first by identifying the areas across the community that we're trying to work with. We're working with Healthy Portsmouth Coalition. We initiated a campaign called the New Year, New You campaign, where we launched a program across, hundreds of organizations that are part of the coalition, getting them to enroll in Rewards for Healthy Living. We just recently, as of yesterday, launched our faith-based initiative to the churches in the city of Portsmouth, because we felt like, working through the churches is definitely a vehicle that traditionally has always been able to reach a lot of people in the community. And
Correct.
Although COVID has certainly had an impact with the in-person attendance at churches, many of those churches have been able to become innovative enough where now that they are operating their social media platforms, they're doing virtual services. So they still have a communication vehicle to get the word to their parishioners, to let them know about Rewards for Healthy Living. And our goal from there is, after this initial launch, we really want to roll out to the faith-based community throughout all of the seven cities across Hampton Roads. We're working with Healthy Chesapeake, Chesapeake Regional Hospital. They actually have just started their own Healthier Chesapeake Literacy Council. We're working with the Hampton Roads Prostate Forum. We just recently participated with them in a prostate forum, particularly for men, last weekend, where we conducted a lot of preventative screenings. Because one of the big challenges that we have in healthcare is not just people not seeking the service, but they don't take time to go and check things out in the early stages.
Okay.
Many men that die from prostate cancer really could have saved their own life if they had just gone for a PSA test when it was early.
May I tell you a quick story on that?
Into something more serious.
I'm going to tell you a quick story. It was colon cancer. So I'm doing a radio show one day, and I have this doctor coming on because it's the time of the year that, we're encouraging men to go get checked for colon cancer in women. And the doctor comes on, and he's so eloquent explaining about, the procedure and why you should get it done, and colon cancer, preventable, all of that. And as soon as he finishes, Dr. Jenkins, a caller calls in, and this caller says, all of what you said is exactly right, but I will never go get a colonoscopy again. And it's in my family. It's killed 2 of my uncles, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I was flabbergasted. And I'm like, Lord have mercy. All these people that we're trying to help, he just wiped that out. He said that because he said it was so painful for him when he got it. Well, the doctor had already gotten off the line. So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what in the world am I supposed to say? Thank goodness a nurse called in, and the nurse said, for some people it is painful, but you tell them that and they will give you something so it won't be so painful, and you go and you get that colonoscopy. But it seems like with men, Dr. Jenkins, tell me if I'm wrong, they are not used to having as many checkups or doctors being as invasive as women are, because women go through stuff all during life. And when you go to talk to them about it, they're not trying to hear it. They're not.
Right. And there's so many philosophies behind it. You know, as you stated earlier, Cheryl, women are always and have been, you know, going to the doctor, being told they need to go to the doctor. And of course, we know there's a percentage that don't. But I think men, you know, throughout life have been the providers. They're the strong, and, you know, they just keep it going, you know, things like that. So it is a conversation, and I think there's more conversation being had when, you know, you have, you know, man to man. But fear is really a big thing for a lot of guys. You know, it's a big thing with fear, and, you know, they can't really, a lot of them may not show emotion. So it's good if we can have men to men just sharing with each other.
Yes.
But there's a way you have to say it without insulting his manhood, and say, you know, man, I'll be, you know, don't act all weak. Don't say that. Let him know you care for him. You have a family, or, you know, you have brothers. Say it that way so there's more of a connection versus attacking their, you know, their manhood. You know,
right.
Say, you know, you weak, and so at that point, you're going to defend yourself. Well, I ain't going to go.
Right.
Let him know his value in life, his value to his family, what he means to himself, all of that. It becomes self-discovery, self-awareness. And it's like, wow, I never thought about my daughter not having me here to go to her prom, or my son to, those things are not shared. We usually kind of, you know, attack like, oh, you're so weak. And at that point, you won't get him to go. But I think if we, especially man to man, just letting people know what their values here. You're not put on earth just to be here. You had a mission. I don't care if you're 80 years old and you find out now that you have it. You still have a mission, because you're still here 80 years later.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I learned so much from doing that show that day, because I could not imagine why he was saying that. But I learned the answer, and I learned about his fear, like you said. So I'm grateful for that, you know?
Well, I'm surprised he said it was so painful, because, you know, the colonoscopies that I've had, you know, I didn't feel a thing because I was out.
You know what, JR?
He's listening to his friends. He's listening to his friends. It's that community news that's not credible, I call it.
Oh.
You know, people will say, oh, I wouldn't go. I went. It was all, it hurt. Just like with mammograms. People told me it hurt so bad. It didn't hurt me. But if I followed my, you know, people that were sharing it, I probably wouldn't have gone.
Right.
You know, we have to make sure where we're getting the information from.
Well, I tell you what, I love a colonoscopy, because that is the best sleep you've had since you were a little child. I promise you, that is some good sleep.
That's right. You're sound asleep.
You are sound asleep. So tell me this, where can people go to learn more about your program?
Well, it is very easy, because the only thing they have to do is go to rewardsforhealthyliving.com. That's rewardsforhealthyliving.com, and it's going to bring the registration screen up, and it's a very simple registration process. Ask for some simple information like who you are, what areas are you seeking information on, where do you live, and pretty much that's it. And they have access to hundreds of programs and, like I said, over 82 different modules that range from diabetes to cancer, and how to navigate the healthcare system, and just so many other conditions that people want to know about. One of the exciting things that I hear some of our participants talk about is how they've gone to the platform to help get a better understanding about conditions that a family member may have. Mm-hmm. That if somebody has, a particular condition like COPD, some people may not really understand what that is. Right. And they've indicated they go to our platform, pull up a game, and play it and learn about, COPD and, what's the causes and what's the treatment for it. And one of the exciting features I wanted to indicate about our platform is that when you're playing the games, not only does it give you the correct answers to the questions, but it also gives you what's incorrect. So if you got a question that's incorrect, it'll tell you you got it incorrect. Then it'll give you the correct answer so that you won't leave that game without knowing what was the correct answer in that question
was. That's valuable. That's valuable right there. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Cheryl Locke and Dr. Vanessa Jenkins. Dr. Vanessa Jenkins, tell us again why Norfolk State thought this was a great program to partner with.
I think that, due to COVID and what we're seeing, our students having challenges, that there was no way that we can dismiss that, because if you don't have a healthy or well student, you won't have a student that's going to be able to graduate. So, to putting the efforts towards it, we already were doing some things, but just now we realized we needed to have an area specialized in, creating programs, collaborating. We collaborate with student affairs, academic affairs, and we come together. There's a lot of things that are going on now. We have a walk on Wednesday, faculty do over there around the track. I do pop-up stations where we have a bag of goodies. When I say goodies, it's not to eat. It's just like a squeeze ball, hand sanitizer, some little tickets they use. All of those things that students can really benefit when they're needing something, to help them cope with whatever's going on. Because they have a weight of the world on them. And there was a 2-year gap where things were missed. I mean, that developmental process was missed because they were home and now they're worrying. So we felt it was very important that we take this initiative because we want healthy and well students. So it bloomed out and it's going great. We're collaborating and even doing some research already because who can best tell a story but us, right? So
That's right.
Right now, we're looking forward to some more activities in the fall to really help our students. I'm also an adjunct professor, and I see it in my class. And one thing I do before I start my class is I do a check-in. I don't take for granted that everybody's okay. I let them know whenever I'm going to talk about a subject, I let them know the thing we may be talking about something that may be disturbing or may, re-traumatize you or may trigger you. Please take care of yourself. Here are our resources. But every time I begin my class, because right now everything is really impacting us. Trauma is real in the classrooms.
Dr. Jenkins,
we have to be understanding to that. Not even in the classroom, but just in life. So just understanding if some find out they just got diagnosed with cancer, or their family member, or they found, student or a friend of their cousin died in their sleep and they're only 19. How can that be? So those questions are coming up, and then educating them on that. But we know that we have to take care of our students. We cannot. There was no way that we would have been able to dismiss and say, okay, back to business as usual, because that will not happen. So these programs and tasking me with this has been exciting, and I know there's more great to come for these students.
I second the motion because
building healthy academic solutions is becoming more and more of a priority for the universities across the country. I just recently attended a webinar. They were talking about a program that they initiated at Oklahoma State University, and it's called Leveraging Data and Community Partnerships to Support Community Well-Being and Campus Success. And through their research, they found that students that had low health literacy had lower academic success.
Mm-hmm.
And so they are trying to place a greater emphasis on wellness and having a healthy academic campus so that students could be more successful in achieving their academics.
Mm-hmm.
It makes total sense to me when you're talking about this, because being on campus the other day when we had that bomb threat, that was stressful for me. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
I totally understand. We just have a few minutes left in the show. So JR and Dr. Vanessa Jenkins, you all have any final thoughts you want to present to the audience today?
Well, I just want to say that, Norfolk State is really on their way to really developing a healthy and well campus. And we're doing all that we can do to add to the value of what students need for that process to take place. And if anyone, because we know that a lot of the students don't live on campus. So as we learn, they will take it out in the community, and then the community begins to learn. But is there anyone that ever needs to get in contact with me, feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me at 757-823-8173. And we're just here to try to come up with all kinds of ways to make sure that our campus is healthy and well.
All right, JR?
Yes, I would only add that since it's been acknowledged that most people in America have at least 2 cell phones, that just take one of those cell phones out right now and pull up Rewards for Healthy Living and go on and register, because you will be enlightened with so much information that can not only be beneficial to you, but also to your family members, and having a greater understanding about the things that you should do to live a healthier life. And that's at rewardsforhealthyliving.com.
Very well said. I want to thank both of you for your time today. I don't take that lightly, and for you all to go out into the community and do what you're doing, my hat goes off to you, and I say bravo, bravo, bravo.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Cheryl. We really appreciate the opportunity to share the information with your listeners.
Not a problem. Our very own Dr. Vanessa Jenkins of Norfolk State University and Mr. J.R. Locke, EdLogics, Healthier 757. I hope you took that phone out, and I hope you did exactly what JR said for you to do. You've got to do it today. Rewards with an S, rewardsforhealthyliving.com. Go today and sign up. Thank you all so much for joining me on this Sunday afternoon. I appreciate each and every one of you. We will do it all again next Sunday. Take care. Bye-bye.